Greater Houston is a beautiful place to live, work, and raise a family. But as we've seen all too often, that beautiful way of life can change in the blink of an eye. As good as we are, as strong as we are, it's never been more important to ask ourselves, are we ready for a disaster? The Houston area is home to more than 6 million people, most living just 40-some feet above sea level, in a major hurricane and extreme weather zone. Since 1851, more than 60 hurricanes have struck the Texas Gulf Coast, nearly a third of them making landfall as a Category 3 or greater. These include the famous Galveston storm back in 1900, our country's deadliest, and Ike, one of our costliest. Then, of course, came the unforgettable Harvey in 2017, and just 2 years later, Imelda. These costly storms unleashed catastrophic flooding across our region, taking many lives and devastating others in their wake. Even when the hurricane season misses us, we're at risk from violent storms, tornadoes, devastating floods, and pandemics. And unfortunately, our disaster threats don't stop there. Our proud reputation as the energy capital of the world comes at a cost, making us vulnerable to chemical spills, plant explosions, and industrial accidents. Underground pipelines extend in all directions, carrying flammable fluids beneath our neighborhoods, while hazardous cargo travels across our freeways each day. As the home of many major corporations and one of our nation's busiest ports and largest centers for world trade, we join other big U.S. cities as a prime target for terrorist attacks. No one likes to think about disasters like these, but they can happen right here, just as easily as in any other part of the world. The question is, are you prepared to survive them? The best chance for you and your family to stay safe and alive is to be ready long before a disaster ever hits. You can do that by taking these 4 steps right now. Make a plan, build a kit, stay informed, and know your neighbors. Taking these steps can save your life and the lives of others, so don't put it off. The better prepared we all are, the more quickly government agencies can respond to the emergencies affecting our region. So begin by making a plan. A good disaster plan helps you be ready for anything, from an unexpected explosion to a hurricane, flood, or pandemic that you can plan for in advance. Consider how your family will communicate with each other, where you'll meet in case your phones aren't working, and who you can leave messages with out of town if you can't reach people locally. Make a list of all your important phone numbers, including the numbers of your hospital and your children's schools. It's also a good idea to make a packet that includes vital documents and a video of your home's contents, and to store it with your out-of-town contact. If you or a loved one needs assistance in an emergency, be sure to plan for that too. You can call 211 anytime to register for emergency transportation assistance. If you wait, it may be too late to get the help you need. If you have kids in school, spend some time now learning about the school's disaster plan so you know what to do and how to communicate during a disaster to avoid compromising their safety. The same goes for your workplace. Find out if your building and your company have disaster plans in place. If they don't, ask them to create what's known as a continuity of operations plan. There's nothing more frightening than losing touch with your family in an emergency situation, and no better feeling than knowing you've done all you can to plan ahead. Your local emergency management website office provides information, or you can find lots of tips and checklists to help you make a good plan at readyhoustontx.gov. A plan is great for peace of mind, but to be truly prepared, you also need supplies. So your next step is to build a disaster kit for each family member. Better still, build 3: a go bag, a shelter-in-place kit, and a supply kit for your pets. You don't want to leave your pets behind in a disaster, so be prepared. Each of you will need a go bag that is ready to take along if you evacuate. Make sure it's easily portable, like a backpack or a suitcase on wheels, and includes basics like bottled water and snacks, toothpaste and first aid supplies, 2 weeks of medication and important papers in a waterproof bag, a flashlight, and a battery-powered or hand-crank radio, along with smart tools like an external mobile phone battery or solar charger and an escape tool for your car, mask and hand sanitizer, cash. For your shelter-in-place kit, start with 1 gallon of water per person per day and non-perishable food to last up to 7 days, plus all the basics of your go bag. Then, add necessities like 2 weeks of medication and toiletries, plus important papers, a manual can opener, a weather radio with extra batteries, mess kits, and cash. As an added precaution, it's a good idea to include duct tape and plastic sheeting to make your home airtight, a tarp to seal your roof, and, if you have a landline, a phone with a cord that's long enough to reach a safe room. And don't forget your pets. Your pet supply kit should include things like food and water, medications, a pet carrier, leashes, a recent photo, and immunization records. Beyond these basics, think about your family's needs and add items to each kit that might be particularly important to each one, such as special or adaptive equipment, stuffed animals and games for kids, or chew toys for pets. Also be sure to keep your kit up to date by refreshing your food, water, and medications every 6 months. An easy way to remember is to do it when daylight savings time begins and ends. These are just the highlights. Your local emergency management office website provides information or, for more details, helpful tools and checklists for building your kits. Go to readyhoustontx.gov. Authorities in your area already have a plan in place for emergencies, but their success depends on you. So it's important to stay informed about what you should and shouldn't do. Your best source of information during a disaster is AM 740 KTRH News Radio. This is the Houston area's primary emergency alert station. In the event of an emergency, listen and wait for authorities to give specific instructions on what to do, and do what they say. That's the best way to keep your family safe. During a disaster, emergency response personnel have a lot to deal with and very little time. They can do their jobs much more effectively if emergency channels and roadways are clear. You can help by staying in your home and saving 911 for those who have an emergency and need assistance immediately. As we've seen many times, evacuating an area as big as ours is extremely difficult without a coordinated and cooperative effort from all of us. If an evacuation is ordered for your zip code, don't make assumptions or take actions that aren't recommended. In the case of hurricanes, you can find out right now if you are in a storm surge evacuation zone and learn the appropriate routes and procedures for your area. As with all disaster preparation, your main goal is to stay informed and plan for the risks you and your family may face in these situations. And finally, as evidenced by the spirit of our community, as we all weathered Harvey together, it's important to know your neighbors and have a plan. Before disaster strikes, introduce yourself and make a list of your neighbors' contact information and share yours. Being prepared for a disaster may seem like a daunting task, but anyone who's ever gone through a disaster without a plan knows it's well worth the effort to make a plan, build a kit, stay informed, and get to know your neighbors. Are you ready?